we are throwing into the ground has a value, and if we don't recycle this, we are eventually going to be using more and more resources of planet Earth. Climate change, we are talking about reducing greenhouse gas emission. Here, by recycling, we are not creating it in the first place. The great thing about recycling is not only is it green, it is beneficial to the planet, but more importantly, it is a business that turns around some trillions of dollars around the world. You know, I salute every householder who participates in recycling in some shape or form, be it in China, be it in Shanghai, be it in Beijing, be it in Guangzhou, be it in Nansha, be it anywhere, be it in London, be it in New York. Every citizen on planet Earth is playing a part in recycling. When I started business, like anybody else, your aim is to create a business model that works for you, that generates revenue for you, and has got a growth model in front of it. But more than that, when I started my business, both my wife and I, we are very much in love with nature, values of what the earth is giving to us. So we said, should we be not doing some kind of business that we, as human beings, passing through our journey through the planet. So I said to myself, let's get into the field of recycling. We started raising awareness that really what we are throwing into the ground has a value. And if we don't recycle this, we are eventually going to be using more and more resources of planet Earth, which is chopping down trees or mining to get bauxite out to make aluminum cans. So we will eventually run out of these natural resources, or we will run out of forests. So the awareness that we should really try to do something about the waste we are creating ourselves. So this really took off in a big way in the last 30 years. So every householder, every individual, every citizen on planet Earth also be able to understand and appreciate why recycling is so important. So education, awareness, and recycling programs which are eco-friendly. In terms, why I say eco-friendly, it is no use collecting waste segregated if it is not segregated in an eco-friendly way, because otherwise we have ruined the basic fundamental fiber that we are trying to collect. For example, if you put your wet food, organic food stock in the same bag in which you put your brown cardboard box, you have ruined the cardboard box. It's not worth recycling anymore. So it's education, awareness, and the personal commitment of everybody. Yes, I am going to be a green ambassador. I want to be a green ambassador, and I will contribute something to planet Earth. Well, I started my life in a little village in Africa. I was born in Tanzania, which at that time was called Tanganyika. I did my schooling in my village where I was born. Then I came to Dar es Salaam, which is the capital of Tanzania today. and I finished my schooling. Then I did my furthest education. I did my graduation and masters, and I came to England in 1974, and I have been here now close to 40 years. I started business in 78, and all along I've been lucky to get a good foundation which United Kingdom provided me in terms of allowing me to promote myself through in the business world. You know, in Africa, we were big sugarcane planters, and my father was running the business, and we were employing some 1,000 workers or Africans in our farm. And my father always said to me, whatever you do, do well, do in the best interest of the community at large, and it's the community that you service must come first and you must be second. And when I started my business life, I said, how can I serve the community? I must serve myself. I am first. I need the money. So, but my father had died, had passed away, so I didn't have anybody to talk to. But those words of my father rhymed through my early parts of business, and I was always thinking, how can I do something right for myself, but above all, serve the community as well. So this recycling met that very well, and I've just grown in that, because I'm serving not only the community, I'm serving the entire planet Earth. So in a very small way, I'm a member of a very, very large planet, doing something for the good of everybody else on this earth. One of the biggest consuming item is printing and writing and packaging paper and tissue paper. We use so much paper in different formats. So I said, paper is generally produced from pulp. Pulp is produced from trees. There is different rating on how many trees you need to cut down to make a ton of pulp, from which you make a ton of paper. Generally the reading is something like 10, 12, 13 trees have to be chopped down for every ton of paper that you produce. And today we are using over 400 million tons of paper in different formats. So if you took 400 million times 12 or 13 trees, that is the number of trees or forests we would be destroying. So as a result, I said, look, this is a great business. So I started building the concept of serving my market, which was predominantly Asian market, with raw material in the form of recycled paper, so that they could use that as a substitute for using pulp. So that is really the foundation of my business. And I think over 30 years, I'm very proud to say that I've grown in this business. I've expanded my markets to various Asian countries. And I'm very proud to say that China today is my main market. Not only my main market, China today is a main market for everybody on the planet Earth, whatever be their business, either a producer or a consumer. We started this recycling campaign in early 80s. China and others raised the need and awareness for recycling in post-90s and early 2000, when the demand for paper increased. They put up more paper mills. The demand for boxes for exports increased. They needed more paper. So these things have come in a little bit late. So they started the recycling program maybe 10, 15 years after we started in Europe. Paper consumption per capita, per person in any European economy, American economy, is between 200 to 300 kilos per person per year. And if you compare that with countries like China or India, they are in figures of below 50 kilos per person. I mean, India is around 10 or 12 kilos per person, and China, I think, is around 42 to 50 kilos. But being a large population, the Asian economy as such, their need for paper is more, but the availability of raw material is less. So we therefore became the source of raw material for them. And so I felt it was very important service I was doing to them and for the good of recycling, that we provided them with the raw material which they needed. And if you specifically look at China, I mean, in 1995, China was probably importing less than 1 million tons of paper. I'm very proud to say today China is importing over 30 million tons of paper worldwide. On the top of that, China is collecting them in their own countries, quite a large volume of paper, which I could easily believe to be close to 50 million tons. And China today is producing paper in the region of 90 million tons. So it's quite a growing and a vibrant economy. And that's where I felt I was adding service and value, that I was, instead of having the waste paper as they call it, we call it paper for recycling, going into landfills in Europe or America. We are trying to stop that from happening and shipping it to Asian economies who are using it to make into boxes, which are again packed with televisions and computers and whatever else we buy from China and brought back to Europe. So I really think it is a very nice loop, what we call as a globally closed loop. Unfortunately, the global population is growing quite strongly and quite rapidly. Today we are touching 7 billion. We are talking of 7 billion to be 9 billion by another 30-35 years. So as the global population has increased, one thing has certainly increased is consumption, consumerism. Consumer demand has increased. But what is very interesting, in the last 10-15 years, the recycling of plastic has taken to the forefront. There are lots of industries that are looking to recycle plastic. The reason being, if you look at milk cartons, you can have paper with PE coating milk cartons, and you can have HDPE, the milk cartons that we use today here. In the milk cartons of plastic, you can carry much bigger volume, you can carry longer distances, maybe the cost of transportation is better, and also the life cycle of the plastic in terms of recycling and reusability of those is probably much better than using paper. So really, if you didn't recycle plastic, I really don't know what would be the consequence on planet Earth. But I'm really proud that we are having more and more technologies now to recycle plastic. We are able to reuse the same granules many times over. We are reducing the cost to the consumer in terms of packaging cost. We are saving on logistics cost, and at the same time, by recycling plastic, whilst we are meeting the need of the consumer, we are also saving the carbon emissions, the carbon footprint on recycling a ton of plastic milk bottles or a ton of plastic drink bottles, which is polyethylene, which is PET, is probably much lesser than what you would have used otherwise. So I think there is no solution at the moment that we need plastic. We are going to use it, and therefore we need to recycle it. Obviously, metal is an old known product. We have been recycling metal for many, many years, even before I started business. So we have obviously always tried to sell scrap metal. The core volume of recycling in metal is steel. And metal basically you can classify to be two kinds, ferrous and non-ferrous. Ferrous being iron and steel, non-ferrous being copper, brass, zinc, tin, aluminium, and then the rare earth metals. The biggest volume of metal recycling is certainly steel, carbon steel, steel coming from construction industries, steel coming from motor cars, steel coming from any other format like railway wagons and rails, and so this all steel, which I think is the biggest volume being recycled. And then you got copper, brass, aluminium. They are the other category, which is the non-ferrous. The whole cycle. Let's look at the community stream, the householder. The householder is very diligently sorting his waste into organic waste, which is his food stream, and the other waste, which we call as dry recyclables, which is paper, plastic, and aluminium cans, either in one bag or the three are sorted in separate bags. This depends on the degree of education and degree of collection systems that we adapt to a region or an area. So these black bags end up into a station, a sorting station. So that's where the entire plant processes that waste. The first thing that goes in a plant is you start with a bag splitter, because it comes into a bag. The bags need to be split open. Once the bags have been split open, the waste from these bags goes into a drum. We call it a trommel. The waste is traveling along the drum, which is turning in a circular motion. The idea being the waste, which might be clustered together, as the drum is rolling around, it opens up, and very small tiny pieces of particle of rubbish or dust which does not benefit recycling falls out. So that is total rubbish, which could go either to landfill, or they could use it for waste to energy plants where they go for burning purposes. Once that material is traveled, you then from this point till the final stage where we end up in a bale format, which is a format in which the waste paper then travels from the recycling plant to the paper mill. You don't want glass to contaminate the recycled paper that is going through the paper making process. So you therefore try and eliminate glass. So there's a glass eliminator, there's a kind of a crushing mechanism that crushes and removes glass. Then during the conveyor journey from there till the final stage, you will have different systems like a picking mechanism which will pick up the large material like the thick cardboard boxes. Thereafter you will have like magnetic separators where you can pick up and remove magnetic material from there. Thereafter you will have a mechanism to sort the plastic out, like you can have air blown onto there which will lift up your plastic carrier bags, the bags that we throw in the trash. So those needs to be removed. Then you can have optical separators for plastic, where through the optical separation system you can separate the plastic contents into different colors. The milk bottles being natural will be picked up separately, the colored PET bottles will be picked up separately. Then you'll go further up, then you can have an electrical system which will be able to pick up your aluminium cans. And then you will end up with reasonably sorted waste. You have removed your cardboard box, you have removed your plastic film bags, the milk bottles in different colors. You then end up with a sort of material on a conveyor belt where you need to do a bit of manual sorting. So you can have a cabin station where you can have 6 or 8 people in the station trying to pick up any contamination that has traveled along the system so far. Like there could be a piece of lady's tight, there could be a child's shoe, there could be a little piece of timber which may have slipped the system. Then you could pick up the white high quality paper, which is your photocopying paper, your office printing and writing paper, because they are high quality paper. So you can have different degree of sorting into this station. Whatever segregation you are doing, segregated material tends to fall onto another conveyor belt which is running under the master conveyor belt. So all of that are ending up in their own stations, and then they are finally baled at that point and sent to a paper plant. Now once the baled material arrives at the paper plant, they split open the bale, they cut the wires down, and then the bale of paper is put into a pulper where it is mixed with various chemicals. Then once they are putting it through the pulping process, they mix it with various other chemicals in the course of paper making. Then they de-ink the paper because they are interested in the fiber, not in the printing and writing on it. So when you get now a viscous substance, this is really near enough ready to be rolled out into final paper making. And then it goes through a wet and a drying process. And once you get brown craft paper or white newsprint coming out at the other end, the newsprint will go to a newsprint publisher who will use it to print the newspaper of tomorrow. And the brown paper will go to a box maker who will use to make boxes out of it. And these boxes will then go to a manufacturer to put his finished goods and re-export world over. So that in brief is the entire life cycle of one bag of waste paper, starting from a householder till he gets it back in the form of a box. The word recycling is very important to every industry today. Whenever a product is being made, the first question the manufacturer or the product designer or the research and our R&D, research and development wing of that product, is asking the question, how much of this product that we are generating will go into the landfill and how much will it be recycled? I mean, car manufacturers very proudly say today our car is 100% recycled or 90% recycled. So same way, I think it is very important that any product that that is being designed anywhere on planet Earth, mobile phones or household appliance or our car, that the focus on recycling is uppermost in their mind. The great thing about recycling is not only is it green, it is beneficial to the planet, but more importantly, it is a business that turns around some trillions of dollars around the world. It is a business that is viable. It's a business that has got a future. It is a business that is employing some millions of people across the world. So really, not only has it got the green features, it has got the basic ingredients what makes the business tick. I mean, if you look at steel from iron ore, or if you look at paper from pulp, they all these products have a value. So we are starting by a product with a value which we are trying to replace with another product, albeit with a lesser value, but still has a value. So the waste streams, we talked about waste paper, if that waste paper was not collected from the waste streams, to go into landfill. So by collecting it, we are becoming green ambassadors. That is hats off to everybody who does it. And all down the supply chain route, from the time it is picked from the householder, you are creating employment for the truck that comes to pick up your waste from your house. Then it goes to a plant where it is sorted, so you are creating further employment. Then it is transported to the paper mill, either by ship or by road. You are again creating employment to the haulage industry. Then it is going to a paper plant where it is processed. Again there is employment created. But all the time down the supply chain, you are continually adding value, because you are constantly creating a product of higher value, till finally the paper mill converts it into paper. So there is profit all across the supply chain, and finally with the paper mill. One big problem or challenge I find when people put in new technologies, we shouldn't bring in technology for the sake of bringing technology. Technology must be adapted to what we are generating. What is generated in China is unique to China. What is generated in India is unique to India. When I am saying unique, broadly, yes, the contents are the same. There is plastic, there is paper, there is maybe timber, there is clothing items, there is Coca-Cola bottles, milk bottles, but different areas, different communes would have different kinds of waste in terms of maybe the plastic content is not so much. Maybe the Coca-Cola bottles, cans are not so much. But if there is less aluminum cans, I would not put in a technology to sort out aluminum cans. If there is not too many plastic bottles, maybe there is no need to create an advanced plastic sorting system within that. So the need basis must be understood before we decide on a technology we are going to utilize for a certain region, a certain country. And so I think that should vary from area to area. Climate change and recycling, unfortunately, the leaders of our industries have not connecting really recycling with climate change. But personally, I would like to say that we must not be talking about climate change. We should be talking about how can we increase recycling, how can we reduce waste going to landfill, how can we use our products time and time again, 6, 7, 8, 10 times, recycle them, instead of using the products from planet Earth, because they are a finite source. They will run out. Maybe they run out in 50 years, they run out in 100 years. And we therefore, during our journey to planet Earth, which I said before, we leave this planet leaving a liability for the next generation. And we found that something like 750 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions is saved the world over by just recycling. So climate change, we are talking about reducing greenhouse gas emission. Here, by recycling, we are not creating it in the first place. The more we recycle, the less the greenhouse gas emitted, less energy consumed. We are indirectly benefiting the planet Earth. As a businessman, you always feel the goalpost has not been reached, because no entrepreneur or no business wants to attain the goal. We always want to keep the goalpost further and further, so that the farther we kick, the longer we have to travel. And I have attained certain degree of satisfaction. I have reached a point in my 30 years of business where I am proud to say what I have done for myself, for my family, for my community, and for the planet Earth. I'm grateful for what I've achieved with the help of my customers and everybody else. But I feel that as I'm coming to this particular juncture in my career, I think I would like to reflect on what I've seen in the last 30 years of recycling industry as it has grown, where I think the recycling industry will be in the next 20 or 30 years. How can I help or participate in the drive to increase recycling and educate about recycling? So I'm currently in the process of writing a book where I would like to share my thoughts with readers across the world to reflect on the entire recycling concept. You know, I salute every householder who participates in recycling in some shape or form, be it in China, be it in Shanghai, be it in Beijing, be it in Guangzhou, be it in Nansha, be it anywhere, be it in London, be it in New York. Every citizen on planet Earth is playing a part in recycling. But my challenge is that the success of recycling really starts at the doorstep of the householder. So if we can communicate with at the doorstep with the householder and make him understand how much we appreciate what he or she is doing, how much important part they are playing for the future of their children, how important part they are playing for the economy of their countries, how much employment are they creating, because everybody wants to know, why am I doing this? So I am endeavoring through this book to try and share a bit of the drive to bring about understanding of recycling to that householder. I think we all have to play our part. Every educated person, one converted person every day, every hour, every second means a lot to the recycling industry, for the success of the industry.